now that we've raised the money or we have access to the money, now we want to find the deal, and we'll give you 2 great ways on how to find deals. So something that's been tried and true for us for well over a decade has been the MLS offer system. It's been one of our favorite ways to get deals in our local market and virtual markets, meaning different markets across the nation. And even when you first moved to South Carolina, that first deal you did, you got it under contract from San Diego using the MLS offer system strategy all the way in South Carolina, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I found my first deal in South Carolina, and that's what actually sped up my timeline. Right, my timeline to move to South Carolina was my due diligence timeline. I only had like a week and a half of inspections, so I had to pick up and move to South Carolina before my inspection period was over. And we drove into South Carolina the last day of the inspection period. And that was my walkthrough.
Yeah. How long was that drive?
We did it in like a day and a half.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There we go. So the MLS offer system at its core, what it is building relationships and contacting listing agents on the MLS that are listing distressed property. Now, the Association of Realtors has came out with multiple reports at the end of the year. It's anywhere from 88 to 92% of all houses, all real estate transactions happen on the MLS or with a real estate agent.
Yep.
And so we've been using that as our main acquisition source for over a decade.
Yep.
And the best thing is, right, if you're starting out, you want to flip your first house, is that you don't need to spend $1 in marketing to be able to get an MLS deal under contract, which is why it's also so lucrative.
Yeah, I mean, if 9 out of 10 deals in the whole country happen on the MLS, you know, why would you want to compete with all the people going after 1 out of 10, right?
Exactly.
Most people don't focus on the MLS because they think, oh, it's already listed, it's on the market, there's no opportunity there. But that's absolutely wrong. I still do deals every single year on the MLS because there's always deals there.
Absolutely, and we're always doing on-market deals. And today, as we've evolved, not only single family, but we do on-market deals for multifamily, commercial, all these different types of deals. And it's the same principles that if you learn with residential property, with houses, how to build relationships with agents that are selling distressed property, you can transfer those skills to the 176 unit apartment buildings. You can transfer those skills to the 90 unit office building.
Yes, look, I could tell you the last 2 deals I bought in what I do, first being the last apartment complex I bought was listed on the MLS for $1.4 million, right? It was a multifamily deal on the MLS. Most people don't list multifamily on the MLS, so almost no one's looking. And I have all my search filters set up to make sure every multifamily deal on the MLS, as few as it is, comes to me. I closed on this deal on April 21st. It was listed for $1.4 million. Right, I offered and got an offer accepted at $1 million, a $400,000 discount. Right, so I found my last multifamily deal literally on the MLS.
Yeah.
And also our company and us, we just moved into our office building. The property was listed on the commercial version of the MLS. Right, so we made an offer. It was listed for $2.4 million. I think we got our offer accepted at $2 million. So the strategy works for commercial office, works for multifamily, works for single family.
Absolutely.
I still use it today.
Yeah, and we've gotten together dozens or well over 50 deals under contract, majority of them below the list price. And that's something that you need to understand. Most people's perception of the MLS, of an on-market deal, is that whatever the list price is that it has to sell at that price. And that ain't the truth. Stan just mentioned this property got below the list price.
For people to think of the MLS listing price is very different than the pricing we see every day in our lives. So you go to a restaurant or you go to a store, the price is what it is. When it comes to real estate on the MLS, the price is the realtor's suggested price. It is what they're advising their seller that they think the house is worth. But the market ultimately dictates what the value is. So if they list it for $200,000 and every single offer comes in at $150,000, that house is worth $150,000. So it's very different. It's just a suggested price by the agent, what they think it should sell for.
Absolutely. And one analogy I like to use is the Craigslist analogy of if you ever buy anything from Craigslist, like a couch, and let's say it was $500, you know you could offer $300 for that thing.
Absolutely.
You know, it's really like the list price. It is what it is, but then you add OBO, like or best offer to it. Right. And that's the way to think about the MLS. It's the realtor's suggested price. And from what we know too, from working with a lot of realtors, not all of them understand every single thing about real estate. Not all of them know how to actually analyze a property or what the correct price is. And so if you're using the MLS and you understand that, there's a lot of amateurs out there that stray away from the MLS because they're afraid of that list price. So if you're not afraid of it and you put in an offer that you feel comfortable putting in, that you've analyzed, that allows you to get a profit on fix and flip deal, there's nothing lost from that. And one thing that we've talked about before, you shared with me, is if you don't feel uncomfortable submitting your offer, then it's not at a low enough price. And that's such a timeless principle.
Yeah, and look, a lot of times it brings a lot of value to the agent to explain to them how they can convince their seller why the price is not where it should be, right? So the last multifamily deal I bought on the MLS, it was listed at 1.4 million, right? But the interest rates had gone up so much. So I had to show the agent that if I bought the multifamily deal at the price that was listed, I would lose money every month. And I showed them how to tell their seller what the correct price was. All right. Also, a lot of times the information on the MLS tells you last time the home was sold and what the seller paid for it. So you know where their margin is. So that is another great way to negotiate those deals on the MLS, because you know what they paid for it. In this case, I knew they paid, $100,000 less than my offer just a year ago. So even if I'm offering $400,000 below the asking price, they're still making money.
Mm-hmm.
And like you teach in the Pro Wholesaler program, I asked what was the motivation of the seller. And in this situation, the seller lived out of state. They had other businesses and they thought this was a passive, easy deal. Well, it wasn't. So they just wanted to get rid of it because they were literally driving to another state to manage it. So I found out the motivation, found out they were still going to make money at my offer, and I felt comfortable offering $400,000 below asking price.
There we go. Great point, Stan. And so the MLS is absolutely a gold mine. And if you're interested in the MLS offer system, how to do it, how to learn about it, we create a free training at realestateskills.com/training. And we'll actually put that link down below as well so you can check it out, learn everything you need to about the MLS offer system. And now let's talk about the next avenue of how you can find deals and get deals. Let's talk about wholesalers.
Yeah, look, especially when you get experience fixing and flipping houses and you build a lot of relationships and you've been known in your area to do it a long time like I have. I've been doing it for 9 years in my area. Pretty much everyone knows me that's in that space. I don't even have to go out and solicit any deals. If I don't want to, I don't have to go on the MLS or do any other marketing. I get deals sent to me literally every day. And that is the power of building residual relationships with wholesalers who are spending their time, money, effort, going out there, finding deals, filtering, negotiating, understanding what you as the buyer need, and sending you all those deals. I can pull out my phone right now and show you 4 different deals I've received in the last week.
Absolutely, Stan. And some ways to find wholesalers is you could join an awesome community of wholesalers like we have in our Pro Wholesaler VIP program. You can attend Real Estate Investor Association meetings. You can hop into other Facebook groups. I mean, they're all over the place. And the more active you are, the more rubbing elbows, attending these association meetings, the more these wholesalers will be able to find you. And also, if you just start closing deals too, some wholesalers will be calling you, just like how I've been reached out several times after I fixed and flipped property.
Yeah, and if you're already in the Pro Wholesaler VIP program, please get my info and send me your deals.
Awesome. So one thing I do want to mention though is how to treat wholesalers.
Yeah.
Because wholesalers provide a lot of value. I understand that, you understand that. And the more that you can educate a wholesaler or tell them what you want, the better deals that they can bring you. And also, what we teach in our program is that wholesalers, the best cash buyers when dealing with wholesalers, typically don't care what type of fee you make. I think it's really important to understand, because if you're a cash buyer, meaning like a fix and flipper, if you're actually flipping property, you're a cash buyer, you're buying these properties for cash from wholesalers, but you want to treat that wholesaler with respect. If they want a $10,000 wholesale fee and now you're trying to skimp them and turn that $10,000 wholesale fee into an $8,000 wholesale fee, it's like you want them to get fed. You want them to make money. You want them to win on this deal as long as you're still hitting your minimum profit criteria. So that way they continue to bring you deals. Because if you try to go around a wholesaler that's getting 3 deals a month under contract and you go around them, or you're always negotiating their fee, they're not going to want to work with you again. And if they can do 36 wholesale deals in a year, they're not going to work with you again. And what's that opportunity cost of a wholesaler not wanting to work with you anymore? So when you treat wholesalers with respect, and what you said, relationships, almost similar to realtor relationships that can continually bring you deals, that's when your business can really flourish And I don't think most people understand the importance of relationships when it comes to wholesalers.
Yeah, I could tell you the second wholesale I ever did in South Carolina, I was going to make a $10,000 fee. I showed up to the closing, and this is the first time the buyer saw how much I was going to make. And he said, hey, I can't pay this price to you anymore. I'm only going to be able to pay you this, because he now knows I'm getting 10 grand. And he tried to negotiate me down to $1,500, which he did successfully, because there was nothing I can do. It was the day of the closing. I couldn't renegotiate with the seller. The seller was already there. So, and I ended up walking away with $1,500, but that buyer never got a deal for me again. And I wholesaled dozens of deals that same year. He will never get one again. So he tried to make an extra $5,000, but he missed out on hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds, maybe over 7 figures, million.
Yeah. Also, I think it's important to understand the thought process and motivations of a wholesaler, right? Their main goal is to make as much money as possible. So when they get a deal under contract, let's say for $100,000, they know that project needs $50,000, right? And it'll sell for $250,000. That leaves a $100,000 gap. So wholesalers' job is to decide how much can I charge between the $150,000, which is the all-in price, and the $250,000 sales price. What is the least that a buyer is willing to make? All right, so that is their thought and negotiation. But you want to work with wholesalers that'll leave you enough profit on the deal so you don't do one deal, make very little, and never want to work with them again. So you want to find wholesalers that leave enough profit in a deal to make you want to come back to them. I've had plenty of wholesalers that I've worked with where they try to squeeze the profit of the buyer. Yeah. And now it gets into this frenzy. All these buyers are showing up, overbidding each other. They end up making no money and go out of business. And there's plenty of wholesalers that try to squeeze the most they can, which is fine. For me, that's not a good fit. I like having those personal relationships where the wholesaler leaves me some money because they understand it's not guaranteed profit. It's risk that I take by buying the house, renovating it, having to wait 6 months. They get a guaranteed profit like that.
Yeah.
So that's why those relationships and understanding how each one of you works is important.
Perfect. I absolutely agree with you on everything, 100%. Obviously, you can start seeing there's this principle here with working with realtors. If they're lending you money and you give them the listing, you're scratching their back, you can get a better interest rate. And with a wholesaler, if they're able to give you a better fee or lower fee and you get a larger profit, there's less risk for you. There's always this value exchange going on. And sometimes it can go one way. You know, sometimes, hey, this wholesaler really needs to eat, you know, and you didn't want to pay $15,000, but you help them out. And you say, hey, the next one, maybe you bring that value back to me. Yeah. And it's just with all your relationships though, but the whole value chain is important just to continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, last week was the last time I bought a wholesale deal from someone, and I literally told the wholesaler, hey, use this contract to assign it to me, because they weren't sure. When you send me the deal, I would normally redact or hide what your contract is with the seller. I don't need to know that. Yeah. Whatever you make is great for you, right? So I was helping this wholesaler how to do contracts, which attorney to close, because if I add that value to them, they will bring me deals forever.
Be on the lookout for the next video in this series, and if you want to build a hyper-profitable wholesaling and flipping business, then check out my full in-depth training at realestateskills.com/watch, and I'll put the link in the description. I'll see you there, and happy flipping.